we have an expert with us, Professor D. Bulchandani. Uh, Bulchandani sir is a professor as well as a formal head of the department at Electronics and Communication Department, MNIT Jaipur. So sir has completed his PhD from MNIT Jaipur and he completed his MTech from ISC Bangalore. So sir research area is mainly surrogated models for analog and digital subsystem, interface circuit for on-chip MEMS based sensor. So I invite now sir to proceed today with his lecture, sir. Please, sir.
Thanks, Amit, for the brief introduction. Good morning, all the participants. So I'll give you a brief introduction of digital to analog converter. This is a short time available with us. So we can see that how much we can cover in this short span of 2 hours. So data converters are inherently mixed signal circuits. They are required in all systems that contain both analog and digital circuits. And the first step towards developing a mixed signal system is design of a good data converter. So why do you require a data converter? So this is an example where we are seeing on the left side, we have a physical variables. This physical variable could be temperature, pressure, light intensity, audio signal, position, rotational speed, flow rate, etc. Then this transducer is a device that converts physical variable to the electrical variable. And some common transducers include thermistors, photocells, photodiodes, flow meters, pressure transducers, tachometers, and there could be many other. The electrical output of the transducer is analog current, voltage, or charge, right? And this is proportional to the physical variable that is being monitored. So what we have is this physical variable is analog in nature, and we had said that this could be anything: temperature, pressure, light intensity, audio signal. The function of the transducer is to convert this physical variable into an electrical signal. This could be current, this could be a voltage, this could be even a charge, right? And let us take an example. Suppose you have you're monitoring a temperature of a water, and this temperature varies from 8 °F to 150 °F. Then this transducer would have a thermistor based, or say any other circuit which is going to convert this temperature into a corresponding voltage. So let me say that if you have developed a linear transducer in this range of 80 °F to 150 Fahrenheit, so corresponding you can say that let the output of this transducer be in voltage.
Hello, please unmute all of your mic.
धर्मेंद्र, गुड मॉर्निंग. आप अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर लेना, मुझे म्यूट करना पड़ा सबको. धर्मेंद्र, प्लीज अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ. सॉरी. धर्मेंद्र.
हाँ, yeah. Is it now?
Thank you very much.
So was I audible, or I should repeat again?
एक मिनट का रिपीट करना पड़ेगा. 1 मिनट का.
Okay.
1 minute.
I'll repeat it again.
Thank you.
So good morning, all the participants, and thanks Amit Joshi, Dr. Amit Joshi, for your introduction.
Just last का 1 minute केवल. पूरा चल रहा था शुरू से. Last का 1 minute केवल. Thank you.
Okay. So what I was telling is that here you have a transducer which is going to convert the analog physical variable, which is analog in nature, into a corresponding electrical signal. This physical variable could be anything: temperature, pressure, light intensity, audio signal, position, rotational speed, flow rate, right? So this transducer will be designed to convert this physical variable into a corresponding electric signal. Corresponding electrical signal can be of voltage, current, charge. So what I was telling is, if you are monitoring a temperature of a water, and if the temperature varies from 80 degree Fahrenheit to 120 degree Fahrenheit, or say 150 degree Fahrenheit, then this transducer is going to generate a corresponding voltage. So let us say that for 80 degree Fahrenheit, it is calibrated so that it generates 800 millivolts, and for 150 degree Fahrenheit is generate 1500 millivolts. Now the function of ADC is to convert this analog signal into a digital signal, and this digital signal is used by a digital system which may be having a processor to control the digital signal and to monitor various things. You can, if it is a transmission system, you will do a compression techniques here. You may change the range so that you get an appropriate digital signal within the specified range. So here you have an analog to digital converter. So digital converter output, which is digital in nature, is given to a digital system which may be having a processor. You can do all sort of processing here. You can do a compression. You can apply certain algorithms so that you generate a suitable digital signal here. Now this end could be at the receiver side. Suppose you are doing a communication transmission, this could be a receiver side where your received signals are all digital in nature. Then you will have to convert back into analog signal. So here, if you're doing a temperature monitoring of water and you want to take a certain control signal based on that, so what you'll have to do, depending upon the temperature of the water, you want to control the flow of water. So what you'll do, you'll convert this digital signal, which is carrying the information of the temperature of the water, into a corresponding analog signal, and it would be given to an actuator. And this actuator would be so designed that it controls the flow rate of the water. So this is one of the example. There are numerous such examples. So now we come to the basic DE to AC, and these are the different few of the application where the digital to analog converter can be used: control, automatic testing, signal reconstructions, and again this signal reconstruction find wide application. So this is a basic black box of DE to A converter, where we are saying that you are giving a digital inputs. A stands for LSB, this for the next bit, this for this, and D stands for the MSB. So you're giving you're getting an output signal which is based on what the digital input is. In general, this analog output is certain constant K multiplied by the digital input, where the K is the proportionality factor and it's a constant value for a given digital to analog converter. The analog output can be voltage, current, or charge. When it is voltage, K will be in voltage units. When the output is current, K will be in the current units. If output is charge, it will be in charge units. So let us take an example before going to the circuit part. What I am saying, that if you have a digital to analog converter which is 5-bit and has a current output, a 5-bit DAC has a current output. For the digital input of 10100, an output current of 10 milliampere is produced. What will be I out for a digital input of 11101? So the digital input, which is in binary, is equal to a decimal of 20. Since I out is 10 milliampere for this case, the proportionality factor would come out to be 0.5 milliampere, right? So if we see that if you multiply 20 by 0.5, you are going to get 10 milliampere. Thus, we can find out for the digital input, which has a decimal equivalent of 29, as follows. So you have your I out as 0.5 milliampere into 29, that is 14.5 milliampere. So if I have a digital converter D to A converter with a given this, I'll see that I can find out the corresponding output. What is the largest value of output voltage from 8-bit DAC that produce 1 volt for the digital input of 00110010? So again, we'll see that this is the equivalent is 50. So 1 volt multiplied by K is 50 here. Therefore, you can find out the K from here, which comes out to be 20 millivolt. The largest output will occur for input when all the bits are 1. So if all the bits are 1, the equivalent is 255 in the decimal. And we'll see that V out maximum for this input, which is maximum, is nothing but 255 multiplied by 20 millivolt. So we'll see that the maximum output that you can get for this digital to analog converter is 5.1. Now we come to the weights. For the DAC, it should be noted that each digital input contributes a different amount of analog output. This is easily seen if we examine the case where only one input is high. So if we had seen in the previous case where I had shown the black box, this is, so A is the LSB, B is another bit, C is another bit, and D is the MSB. So if I have only LSB as high, I'll see the output is 1. If the next bit is high, I'll see that the output is 2 volts. If it is 3, C is high, that is the third bit is high, the output is all the other bits are. So what we see is the contribution of each digital input are weighted according to their position in the binary number. The another important term is the resolution. Resolution of a D to A converter is defined as the smallest change that can occur in the analog output as a result of change in the digital input. Resolution is always equal to the weight of the LSB and is also referred to as step size. So what here you're seeing in the figure is the same D to A converter, which is 4-bit. And we had seen that if I change the LSB, the output is going to change by 1 volt. See, if one LSB it's changed by 1 volt. Suppose you change this to 10, you're getting a 2 volt. So this resolution is the weight of LSB. Larger the bits, we'll see that smaller are going to be the step size. Smaller the step size, better is going to be the resolution. So if you have a certain V reference and if you have an n bit D to A converter, the resolution would come out to be V reference divided by 2 raised to n. So if we come to the circuit parts, so the types of resistive digital to analog circuits, we have a resistor, string, n-bit binary weighted resistor, and R2R ladder resistive circuit. So this is an example of 3-bit resistor string. You have 3 bits, B0, B1, B2, right? You have a resistor string, set of switches. The switches can be implemented using a transmission gate, right? And then you have now op-amp. Here I have not shown it, but it acts as a buffer. So if I want if all these are zeros, if this is 0, this is 0, and this is 0, then you'll see that this buffer is connected to this 0, this is connected to this 0, and this is connected to this 0. So what we'll see is that your input to op-amp is connected to the ground and your output is going to be 0 volts. And now if you have this as 1, this as 1, and this was 1, you should get a maximum output. So what we see, if this is at 1, this is connected here, this is connected to the 1 here, this is connected to 1 here. So in this case, the output is going to be, here you have V reference and V reference divided by sum of all these resistance multiplied by this resistance. So you're getting a maximum output voltage when you have this as 1, 1, and 1. And you will get the intermediate voltages depending upon the digital inputs. And this is the expression for the output voltage we have. So we'll see that, let me tell you that this is a 3-bit D2A converters. If I have 3-bit D2A converters, how many resistors that I require? I'll see that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is 2 raised to 3. If there are n bits, I'll require 2 raised to n resistors. Similarly, how many switches I require if it is a 3-bit? So I'll see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it is 2 raised to n minus 1. That is 7 switches I require. So if you have an 8-bit resistor string digital to A converters, number of resistors required is 2 raised to n, that is 2 raised to 8, that is 256. Number of switches is summation of 2 raised to I change from 0 to n minus 1. So it will come out to 2 raised to n minus 1. So 2 raised to 8 minus 1, 255. So this is impractical for the converters with more than few bits of resolution. So as your number of bits increases, as you want to increase the resolution, better resolution, you'll have to increase the number of bits. If you increase the number of bits, we'll see that number of the resistor increases, number of the switches increases. This is going to make our circuit really bulky. So why not go for an n-bit binary weighted resistors where we don't have a resistance of same value but weighted resistors. So you have a resistance R here, 2R, 4R, 8R, and keep on increasing, right? 2 raised to n minus 1 R. We'll see that this is an op-amp circuit which is connected into a non-inverting inverting configuration, and the amount of the current flows here will depend upon what are the digital inputs. So if your MSB is connected here, what we'll see is that the current that flows is V reference divided by R. If this bit is closed and all others are open, we'll see that the current that flows here is V reference by 2R. Similarly, if this is closed, you'll have V reference by 4R. If all are closed, then we'll see that the total current is VR multiplied by the summations of Vi divided by 2I minus 1 into R. And the output voltage we'll see is nothing but this same current, because the op-amp takes negligible current, the same current is going to flow to output. So this point is going to be almost, because if you assume that op-amp has a very high gain, this is virtual ground at this point. So if 2 is grounded, this is also grounded. And the voltage here is going to be nothing but the feedback resistor multiplied by IO. Here the feedback resistance is R by 2. So VO is nothing but minus R by 2 IO. And the value of IO would depend upon what the digital inputs are. So let us take an example. Find the output voltage, current, and resolution for binary weighted resistor digital to analog converter of 4 bits. The condition is that the R is 10 kilo ohms. That is, this R is 10 kilo ohms. This would be 20. This would be 40, right? And the feedback resistance is 5 kilo ohms, right? So it is R by 2. So this feedback resistance is 10 divided by 2, that is 4 kilo ohms. And the reference voltage is taken as minus 10 volt. So if you apply a binary word 1001, we have to find out what is going to be the output voltage, what is going to be the current, and what is going to be the resolution of the binary weighted digital to analog converter. So this is the case here. Feedback resistance is 5 kilo ohms. So this R is 10 kilo ohms. This is binary weighted resistance. So this is going to be 20. This is going to be 40 kilo ohms, and this is going to be 80 kilo ohms. The input is 1001. So this is 1. This is, if it is 0, this is going to get connected to the ground. If it is 1, it is going to get connected to V reference voltage. So again, the other bit is 0. This is connected to the ground. And then this is connected to V reference because of this voltage. So now the current that is going to flow into the op-amp circuit is because of this and because of this resistance. 10 kilo current flowing through 10 kilo ohms, current flowing through 80 kilo ohms. So because here it is ground and here it is minus 10 volts. So the voltage across each resistor is 0 minus 10 volts. So we'll see that this is the resistance in the first case is 10 kilo ohms only. For the other case, it was grounded. It was grounded in the third case. It is 1 here, and the resistance here is 80 kilo ohms. The current that flows here 10, and that here current here flows 0 because this is grounded. So we see that the current that flows into the op-amp here is sum of these two currents, and these two current is nothing but minus 0.01125. This is negative because current direction is flowing in this direction. So because no current flows, same current is going to flow through the feedback resistance. So if the same current is going to flow through the feedback resistance, this RF is 5 kilo ohms multiplied by this current. This is what you are going to get. Output voltage is going to be RF multiplied by IO. So it comes out to be 5.625 volts, right? And we'll see that the LSB or the resolution, which is nothing but the magnitude of the LSB is nothing but V reference divided by 2 raised to N. And in this case, the N is 4. So this is 10 volts divided by 16. So this comes out to be 0.625 volts. This is the minimum change in the output because of the change in LSB, 0.625 volt. So we have found out the current, voltage, and the resolution, right? So the binary word what we was seen was 1001, which is decimal equivalent of 9 input combinations. Because it is a 4-bit number of input combinations that you can have is 2 raised to 4, that is 16. So V out is nothing but V reference multiplied by the digital signal equivalent, which is 9 here, divided by 2 raised to N. So 10 into 9 divided by 16, that is how we get the output voltage. 5.625 volts, it is same as what we had calculated here, 5.62. What are the limitations of a binary weighted digital to analog converters? Suppose we have a resistance of 10 kilo ohms, and if it is an 8-bit digital to analog converter, so and V reference is 10 volts, we'll see that if it is an 8-bit, R8 is going to be 1280 kilo ohms, right? And I8 current that flows when this R8 is connected to V reference is 7.8 microamperes only. Op-amps that can handle these currents are quite expensive. So the amount of current that is, because it has to handle 7.8 micro, and their offset currents itself are bias currents are also very low. So which can detect such much current, you need a op-amp. There are available, but they are rare and expensive. On the other hand, if you have an R of 10 ohms and V reference as 10 volts, you'll see that the value of the R1 is 10 ohms. And the current that is going to flow is again 1 ampere. So this is more than a typical op-amp can handle. So what we can see here is the range of the currents is very widely varied, and the single op-amp which can handle such a wide currents is quite expensive. So that's the disadvantage of the binary weighted digital to analog converter. So the another resistive digital to analog converter is R2R resistive ladder. This is the simplest type of digital to analog converter. Requires only two precision resistance value, R and 2R. So what here we see is that resistance that you require is either 2R or R. No other resistance value. Whereas in all other cases, we see that you require a different resistive values. That is in the previous case, what we had seen. You require a different R, 2R, 4R, 8R. Here in this case, you require only just two values of the resistor. And we'll see that how this works. Each bit controls a switch between the ground and the inverting input of the op-amp. So here you will have a switch, and again this switch is going to be implemented using a MOS transistor, either transmission gates, right, or simple pass transistor. So depending upon the switch value, your bit is connected to the ground or is connected to the inverting input of the op-amp. The switch is connected to the ground if the corresponding bit is 0. This will be connected if the corresponding bit is 0. If the bit is 1, this will be connected to the inverting input of the op-amp. So let us take an example of conversion of 001 to analog signal. So if it is 001, we'll see that the bit 0 switch connects this 2R to the inverting inputs, whereas it connects all other resistance to the ground. So if this is connected to this bit is connected to the inverting input, we'll see that what is the amount of the current that is going to flow and what is going to be the voltage here at this end. So if this is connected to here, we have an input voltage here. We have to find out what is the corresponding voltage at V0. To find out the corresponding voltage at V0, we'll have to find out what is the equivalent resistance of this. Right? And further, what we'll see that because this is connected to non-inverting input is connected to the ground, and these are at virtual ground, so this is also going to be at ground. So what is the equivalent resistance here and what is the equivalent voltage here in terms of Vs? So the equivalent resistance we'll see here, because this is ground and this is also at a virtual ground. So what we'll see is that these two are parallelly connected. This is also ground, this is also at virtual ground. So you have this resistance and this resistance coming into the parallel. So the equivalent resistance is R. So you have equivalent resistance between this point and the ground is R. You know voltage V1 is here. Find out V0 in terms of V1. So V0 in terms of V1 is nothing but the resistance of this divided by the total resistance Req plus R. So R equivalent divided by R equivalent plus R. So we see that V0 is nothing but half of V1. Similarly, you can calculate V1 in terms of V2, V2 in terms of V3. V3 is nothing but Vs, so that you can get Vo in terms of Vs. So what we have shown is that VO is equivalent to half V1. Similarly, it can be proven that V1 is nothing but half V2 and V2 is nothing but half V3. So, and V3 is nothing but Vs. So what we'll see that I have this relation, I have this relation, and I have this relation. So VO in terms of V3 comes out to be nothing but 1 by 8 V3, and V3 is nothing but 1 by, that is V3 is nothing but Vs. So VO is nothing but 1 by 8th of the input voltage that is coming into this one. VO is the input to the inverting amplifier circuit, which has a gain of, you'll see that this is the input to this. You have a 2R and R. So the gain of the amplifier is nothing but the feedback resistance. Because this is at the inverting terminal, you have a feedback resistance R, and the resistance connected to the input is 2R. So this is minus half. So V out is nothing but the gain for this input multiplied by input voltage. Gain turns out to be minus half. VO turns out to be nothing but 1/8 of Vs. So V out for this is minus 1/16 of Vs. Similarly, we'll see that if only this bit is on, this will be minus 1 by 8 Vs. This will be minus 1 by 4 Vs. This is going to be minus half by Vs. We have shown that the analog output voltage for the digital input 001 is minus 1 by 16 Vs. Similarly, it can be shown that for the input 0010, V out is minus 1 by 8 Vs. For input 0100, this is going to be minus 1 by 4 Vs. For input 100, it is going to be minus half Vs. The output for any combination of the bits comprising of the input binary number can now be found using the principle of superposition. So you have V out, B3 V out 3, B2 V out 2 plus B1 V out 1 plus B0 V out 0. So depending upon your digital signal, B3, B2, B1, B0, B3 being MSB and B0 being LSB, this is the output that you get. So for given digital input, you get a corresponding analog output. So this was all about the different circuits of the resistive digital to analog converters. Now there are 6 key parameters which we should consider when choosing a digital to analog converter voltage. Reference voltage, resolution, linearity, speed, settling time, and error. So what are these? Reference voltage. To the large extent, the characteristic of DAC are defined by its reference voltage. Now we have two types of DAC. One is a non-multiplier and one is a multiplier. So non-multiplier digital to analog converter has a V reference fix specified by the manufacturer. So you will have a fixed full scale voltage. Whereas a multiplier DAC, you can have your V reference from an external source. So the maximum voltage or the maximum output, analog output you can get can be varied. This is defined as an output when the digital input word is all 1. So maximum full scale voltage is nothing but V reference multiplied by 2 raised to n minus 1 divided by 2n. So if you have a multiplier DAC, you can change your V reference, you can have your own full scale voltage. Resolution is a measure of precision. It is not the accuracy. It is defined as a voltage change corresponding to changing the LSB. This we had discussed already. And many options in 8 to 16 bit range, with 12 bits being a typical cost resolution trade-off. We see that if you want to increase the resolution, you'll have to increase the number of bits. If you go for a large number of bits, you'll see that your requirement of the resistance, requirement of the switches goes high, right? And your circuit becomes expensive. So more bits, more steps to reach the final value, greater will be the resolution, and it is going to be more expensive. So you have to take a decision of trade-off between the resolution and the typical cost. So resolution, as already defined, is nothing but P reference divided by 2 raised to n, where n is the number of bits. Linearity, ideally a digital to analog converter will produce a linear relationship between a binary word and an analog output. That is an ideal relationship you should have. If I give a digital input, I should have a linear relationship between the digital input and the analog output. In actual circuits, we'll see that this is not the case. You will not have this ideal relationship between the input and output, and there are certain reasons for it. That is what we'll discuss. Speed is another important parameter, specified as a conversion or sampling rate. The conversion of input signal is limited by the clock speed of the input signal and the settling time of digital to analog converter. So what is this settling time? We'll see. Ideally, an instantaneous change in an analog voltage should occur when a new binary word enters into a digital to analog converter. So there should be, say, a zero settling time. Instantaneously, you should have an analog voltage corresponding to new binary word. But settling time is time taken by digital to analog converter to reach 1/2 of the LSB of its new voltage. What are the components that cause this settling time? It is your delay in the switches. You are switching on and off the switch. So switch itself is not going to switch on and off instantaneously. There are certain, because switch you implement it through a transistor. Transistors have a certain capacitances associated with it. So they will take time to switch on and to switch on. So there is going to be the delay at the switch also. Then you are using a op-amp as a buffer, right? So op-amp has its slew time to raise to, say, from 0 to certain another value. And then we'll see that whatever is the value, it will take a time to settle, and that is known as a ring time. Fast converter reduces slew time, but usually results in longer ring time. Delayed time is normally a smaller term as compared to the slew time and the ring time. So this is in a figure here. What you're seeing here is, so what in this settling time, say from 0 to here, what we see is that the delay time is very small. This delay is because of the switches and slew time of the op-amp, and then you have a certain ring time. This is to it, right? And this is the allowable output error band. So causes of delay time, settling time, and the ring time. Delay time is caused by the time it takes to change these switches based on the input bits. Switches to switch on from switch on and switch off. It is going to take its own time. So this another is the slew time, and the ring time is determined by the op-amp's slew rate. So it is going to depend upon the op-amp's slew rate. What are the possible errors? Because we do not live in an ideal world, consider for possible errors should be made. So we'll see that what are the possible errors in digital to analog converter. So one is the offset error, another is the gain error. Then you have the nonlinearity, and again these nonlinearities, you have two types of nonlinearity: integral nonlinearity and the differential nonlinearity, and the non-monotonicity. So what is this offset error? What is this gain error? That is what we'll see. So the offset error equals the analog output when the digital signal is 0. So what we see here is a circuit. When the digital input is 0, the offset is also 0. The curve should follow this path. But in actual circuit, we'll see, because you are using in a op-amp and it has its own offset error, right? Even your input is 0 to it, it is going to give you a certain output. So your actual curve is this. So this is known as an offset error. So if this offset error is not corrected, it will be added to the expected digital to analog converter output for all input cases. And this offset error can be negative as well as positive, right? So this is the error due to the offset of an op-amp. What is the gain error? It is defined as a difference between the ideal maximum output voltage and the actual maximum output voltage after subtracting the offset error. So this is the ideal case. So for the ideal case, when the input is 1, 1, the ideal maximum output voltage has to be this one, right? But the actual curve is this. What we have seen is that you remove the offset error, then draw the curve. So the actual maximum output voltage that you are going to get after removing the offset error is this. So difference between the ideal maximum output volt value and the actual maximum output value is known as the gain error. In this case, it is 1/4 of LSB. And this changes the slope of the output, thereby creating the same percentage error for each step, expressed in millivolt as a percentage of maximum output voltage. Then there is an error which is known as a differential nonlinearity. This is the difference between the actual step height and the ideal value of LSB. It is found after removing the effects of gain and the offset error. Should be less than or equal to 1 to ensure monotonicity. See, what happens is you are changing the digital input. Your output should change correspondingly. Now this is, if I change a single digital input by a single LSB, then my output, analog output, should also increase, right, by the same amount. But because of the mismatch in the registers, this does not happen always. So what I see here is I have a 0, 0 input, I have 0, 0, 1. From 0, 0, 1, if I go to 0, 1, 0, right? So this is 0, this is 0, 0, 1, this is 0, 0. What I see is that the output should have been here, but the output comes out to be here. So there is a difference between the actual step height and the ideal value of LSB. See, the LSB is, it should have been this, but it is this. So the differential nonlinearity is the difference between the actual step height. Actual step height is this and this minus this LSB. So this is the differential nonlinearity. because the actual step size is nothing but 1 LSB plus 1/4 LSB. If you subtract this LSB from it, this is the differential nonlinearity you get. Similarly, here in this case, the actual, when I move from this point to this point, say from 10 to 101, the difference between the height of this point and this point should have been 1 LSB, but it is actually this. So we see that the differential nonlinearity in this case is -1/4 of LSB. You subtract this, this is the actual height, -1 LSB, you get -1/4 LSB. Whatever is this differential nonlinearity, it should be less than or equal to 1 LSB to ensure the monotonicity. What is this monotonicity? This means that if I increase the digital input, my analog output should always increase. It should not decrease if I increase the digital input. If it decreases, then it means that it is non-monotonous. So we have to, we'll see that in certain D2A converters, you change the coding scheme, which ensures that the monotonicity is there. So what is non-monotonicity? A monotonic digital to A converter yields an increase in output as the input increases. If the differential nonlinearity of greater than 1 LSB occurs, increasing in digital input may actually result in the decreased output. And we say that there is a non-monotonicity error in the output. This is an example. What here you're seeing is the actual input. If you see from 0, 0, this is the actual output. What I am pointing out here is this is the actual output. 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 In this case, between this output and this output, the actual step size is 1.75 LSB. If this is 1.5 LSB, and if I subtract it from 1 LSB, I get 0.75 LSB, right? So in this case, it may happen that if I am increasing the digital input, the actual output may go down because your differential nonlinearity error is more than 1 LSB. So this may occur here. What you are seeing is that from 0 to 1, if I go to 100, my actual output is decreasing. And this is known as non-monotonicity. This can occur due to the glitch. This can occur due to the mismatch in the resistance, right? So you have to ensure that your D2A converter have monotonicity. Then we have another nonlinearity error due to which is known as the integral nonlinearity. It is defined as a deviation of digital to analog converter transfer function from straight line, right? The straight line can be a best approximation to actual transfer function or a line drawn between the transfer function's endpoints after subtracting the gain and offset error. So what we see is that the actual curve is this curved one of digital to analog curve. The ideal curve after removing the gain error and the offset error is connecting 0 to this maximum output that it is getting. This is the ideal curve that you have of digital to analog converter. If I have 001, this is the point output. If I have this should be 2 here. This should be 3 here, right? But actual curve is this. So integral nonlinearity is defined as deviation of digital to analog transfer function from the transfer function. So this was an ideal for 001. This was the actual volt, but ideal voltage output, analog output. What you get is this. So the integral nonlinearity is difference of these two, this and this. So this is 1/4 LSB. And we'll see that this increases here. The ideal should be this, actual is this for 011 transition. So the nonlinearity, integral nonlinearity is the difference between this, the actual and the ideal. It is the deviation of the output analog voltage from the ideal value. It is the deviation of the output analog voltage from the ideal. So ideal should be this, actual is this. So how much is the deviation? This is half LSB. Similarly, again, this is, if you try to find out the nonlinearity, this comes out. So this is another error because of the integral nonlinearity. So causes of the nonlinearity, gain error and offset error. Nonlinearity is caused by the resistors. Resistors in the D to A converters need to be matched, but manufacturing exact resistor is difficult. So you all must also be notice that if you have worked in your workshop class of your BTech, if you have seen the resistance, you see that the resistance, even those resistance that you have are not of exact. If you have a 1 kilo ohm resistance, depending upon the color code of the fourth ring, it has a certain tolerance associated with it. If it has a no ring is there, it has a 20% tolerance. If it has a silver ring, it says that it has a 10% tolerance. If it is in a golden ring, it has a 5% tolerance. Then you have a certain resistance also coming with a 1% tolerance. So if I have resistance of say 100 ohms, if I have a 20% tolerance, that means resistance value can be between 120 ohm and 80 ohms. Similarly, the 10 ohm tolerance says that the resistance value can be between 110 and 19. 5% tolerance, 105 and 95. 1% tolerance between 101 and 102. So what we see, there is a mismatch in the resistors. We have seen that you require a matched resistors, R and 2R, where you require all the resistance should be of same value. 2R, all the 2R resistance with, but because of the limitation of the manufacturing process, there is a process variation in fabricating these. So you get a mismatch in the resistance, and because of this mismatch, you don't get the exact jump with the exact increase in the digital input. I have increased the digital input by LSB. Then there should be a same increase in the analog output voltage always, but that is not the case. So instead of a straight line between the digital input and the analog output, you get a curved line. Gain error and offset error is caused by op-amp or the op-amp's feedback resistor. So if you want to reduce the gain error and the offset error, you will have to choose op-amp with the low offset errors, or you have to find out the techniques which can reduce the offset errors. Then the other term which is very important is the accuracy. So the absolute accuracy of the converter is defined to be the difference between the expected and the actual transfer response. The absolute accuracy includes offset, gain, and linearity errors. The term relative accuracy is sometimes used and defined to be the accuracy after the offset and gain errors have been removed. So the accuracy can be expressed as a percentage error of full scale value, as an effective number of bits, or as a fraction of an LSB. So 12-bit accuracy implies that converter's error is less than the full scale value divided by 2 raised to 12, right? So full scale value divided by 2 raised to 12. If it is less than your error of the converter is less than that value, we say that it has a 12-bit accuracy. Note that the converter may have a 12-bit resolution with only 10-bit accuracy. So it is not the resolution and accuracy are same. And it is not that if you have a 12-bit resolution, your accuracy is also going to be 12-bit. You will find out the error, that is, find out what is the total error. And if that error is less than full scale value divided by 2 by 12, then you have a 12-bit accuracy. If that error comes out to be full scale value divided by 2 raised to 10, then it is a 10-bit accuracy. You can also have a 10-bit resolution with a 12-bit accuracy, right? Though the resolution is 10-bit, your circuit is so perfectly designed that it has a less error terms, and the error term is such that it is less than full scale value divided by 2 raised to 12. So an accuracy greater than the resolution means that the converter transfer response is very precisely controlled, better than the number of bits of resolution. So these are the different applications, again, analog display, digital control system, digital audio communication system, and there could be many other applications. So this ends my first part of the lecture, and we can take the questions if there are any.